Hello and welcome to Coffee Table. I am your host Fizza Jamal, and this is not our set. Our set is still under preparation, as I said yesterday, but soon, inshallah, we'll...
but we've got coffee mugs.
Yeah, but we've got our coffee mugs now, so we're moving up a step, yeah? So again, joining me at this coffee table are FSJ, again, whose name will remain a mystery forever. Nobody knows what it means. You have to look him up to see what it means. Yes, give him that importance. He is currently at LUMS. And then we have the second guest. He is Dr. Nadeem ul Haq. I don't know if I should call you a guest. You're like a permanent member of this coffee table.
Coffee table club.
And he's a renowned economist, so he's going to bring in some brains to this conversation. FSJ is going to bring in his media background in the conversation, and I'm just going to bring myself to work and join this conversation. So, I was reading a very interesting article.
I don't think you can get away with it because we're also going to involve you. And we're going to ask you questions, so please be prepared.
If there's anything except drama, I don't like to be involved in it.
Okay.
We can make it
so we have to script it for you, huh? So we should script it for you, right?
Yeah. Or just make something happen so it gets all dramatic, you know. As usual, like the two of you get dramatic with each other.
How can it not get dramatic when he's involved?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, you have to have fun.
You need to follow his Twitter feed.
I wonder how you guys are like at home. Like, do you get dramatic at home too?
Oh yeah, of course.
All the time?
Yeah, my wife hates it.
I should talk to her about it.
So she doesn't come back. She's in the States. She's not coming back.
Oh my God. It really sent her away.
Absolutely,
far
absolutely.
Away.
Yeah.
And how about you? Are you a dramatic person?
Not really, not always, but yes, everybody has a sense of drama, and there are moments when you want to express yourself. So I wouldn't say dramatic, I'd say expressive.
Oh my God, that is like sugarcoating your dramatic instinct, you know. I would call myself very dramatic. Thank you for asking though, thank you for caring so much. But I would call myself very dramatic.
I can see you have a sense of drama about it.
Yeah, if there's no drama in my life, I'm just bored instantly. So, you know, this makes me think that women have been, women are very
we're going on to women
notorious.
now.
No, women are very notorious for being dramatic.
Of course.
So why do you think that is? I think men are also dramatic.
That is a very sexist statement.
I know, right? Oh my God, am I going to get lashes
Really?
for this?
Yes.
Did I just say
How
something?
can you categorize and say, oh, women are considered to be
course,
very
women are more
They
dramatic?
are.
No.
They are, like it's a stereotype
agree with
surrounding
Fizza.
women.
Are you saying men are more dramatic?
It depends. Men have a lot of drama about them. Right?
No, they only yell and scream. That's all. No drama.
Exactly.
Isn't that dramatic?
No, I mean women are artful in their drama.
Okay.
Men are
so
just
now we're
pure.
talking about the nuance, right? And saying there is a nuance to the
But
drama.
drama by
also.
definition is nuanced.
So it's like Dilip Kumar and Sultan Rai. Both of them are artists.
Yeah.
Right? One was loud, one was understated. And so what are we talking about?
I think the thing here is that women are considered more emotional and more dramatic also because there have been researches that...
But she now put in more emotional too.
Okay, now she's added emotion into the
Well,
mix.
drama comes from emotion,
So
doesn't
now
it? You
what does
cannot-
the feminist say? Please tell me, what does the feminist say?
Oh my God, did you just put feminist and dramatic in one box? You are dead. I think your career is over right here.
But he says, you know, he doesn't agree. You said women are emotional and dramatic. You said that. I didn't say
I
that.
didn't say feminists and dramatics are the same thing.
No, aren't they? I thought you said you're a feminist just now.
Please explain yourself to all the women watching this. I'm patiently listening.
I think quite frankly, what Faisal said about women being...
Don't you even dare try to pin
Stop
this one on
dragging
me.
it. This is your battle
Okay,
only.
let's go on. Let's go on. I'll
All
concede.
right,
I'll
let's
concede.
hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
Let's hear what you have to say.
Okay, so even like I've seen some researches that shows that women's brains are wired in a way that the emotional part of the brain is bigger.
Now you're going there again. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then-
Okay.
Oh, what am I doing wrong? Are you? You're making me go dramatic on a show.
You know what Larry Summers said? You know
Please
who Larry
tell me what
Summers
Larry
is?
Summers said.
Larry Summers was the Treasury Secretary of the US. He was also the president of Harvard, right? And he was giving a speech in which he quoted a study which said that women are less able as far as mathematics is concerned. And he had such a backlash, he had to resign. one of the most famous economists in the world, and you know,
I think that's your future.
He
right
resigned,
now.
and
It's going
so
to happen to
so
you.
what you are saying, I'm worried. I'm worried. No, I'm on the feminist side here. So anyway, so go ahead. So you think women are wired
and
emotionally?
wired like this.
They're wired
and
differently, or
in men,
is that hardwiring, or is that really the roles that are adopted? Right, that there has been a role that has been adopted.
It's like a huge discussion, like, and like in men, like the logical part of the brain is bigger. For men, it's easier to separate, let's say, drama and reality. But for women, like, they tend to mix the two. I'm not trying to be controversial here. It's just something that I've read. And so I want to talk about why.
But
is
there's
that?
also
So
studies that say, and my wife always says this, that women are capable of taking more pain
exactly.
and facing more hardship than men. Men apparently are babies who cry too easily when they suffer or when they have pain, right? Would you agree with that?
Are you trying to redeem yourself here, Dr. Nadeem al-Haq, for your previous comments? I think that's what
I'm just trying to put him
yeah.
into trouble. See, let's see what he says now.
Okay, if we talk about design, if we talk about, let's say, the difference in gender, if you look at the physiological difference, right? So it has gone through evolution, just like anything else and everything else. So men from hunter-gatherers, right, to taking on different roles, women also taking on different roles. So if you go back 50,000 years and try to imagine.
So hang on,
right?
are you saying that women have been habituated to be the weaker sex?
No, I don't think they've been habituated. I think it's a perception and saying they're weaker. In what way? Right? Are they weaker in terms of their...
So take a stand. Are you saying they're weaker or not?
No, I don't think they're weaker.
FSJ, choose your words carefully.
I'm very clear. I think women are a better design in reality. And they're more likely to survive than men are.
Without men?
Without men.
Okay, go ahead.
I would actually... Yeah, second
you would what?
that. No, nothing. So this reminds me of an article by Nida Kirmani I was reading on a website, and she's a feminist sociologist. So it really piqued my interest, and the article was very well written. So she was talking about that how in Lyari there are women, like she's been researching there for 6 years. So she's like how the women are breaking this social context of patriarchy, and they're just moving ahead in life, they're having fun. So she defines feminism as not just having equal rights, but also wanting to have fun. And I think that is in my head, that's a fresh perspective to put in. Like there's a lot of things that our society, or if I say the brown culture, stops women from doing certain things. So in Lyari, they actually have like these boxing clubs where they are going and, you know.
Women boxing?
Yeah, learning boxing. They're taking the boxing.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on that?
You need to be very careful.
Where do you stand on
You
that?
need to
will
be careful.
stand in the corner and coach and say, give it to him.
Maybe he's going to encourage
You're
that
okay with
boxer.
women boxing?
I'm perfectly all right with women boxing.
So I think with your previous comments, I'm going to keep reminding everybody what he said.
Okay.
If need be, let's replay those comments too, because then you need to be concerned about their boxing.
Can you please tell me,
abilities.
you're saying women boxing and what else?
Yeah.
So she's saying that women
should have fun. That is also a part of
They should
feminism.
engage in sports,
Yes.
right? And they should be able to box, and they should be able to do everything
They
that
should
men
be able
do.
to do everything.
No
Even
inhibitions.
no inhibitions at all.
There was a very famous Iranian movie done by Jafar Panahi, came out almost 10, 15 years ago. And this is right on the heels of the revolution, and you know all those things were happening, where it's called The Circle, and it's about the story of 3 women. And their defiance is smoking in public.
Yeah.
Right? So it's these little things that actually make the difference. When you break the mold, when you challenge convention, when you go against the grain. And I'm really thrilled to know that there is a boxing club in
Right.
Lyari that teaches girls how to box.
Yeah.
Right? I'm thrilled with the fact that there are women in Lyari, right, who are standing up for themselves and want to challenge the patriarchal structures. I think we need to have more of that, because we need to have more inclusion. We need to have more productivity. Is not going to come as a nation. How can we really be productive if 50% of the entire population?
But hang on, is there no difference between men and women then? We can all do the same thing and everything?
You tell me.
Define the difference here, because if you're talking about the physical differences, of course there are. But if you're talking about difference in abilities, please explain yourself, Dr. Nadeem
I'm just
al-Haq.
saying, how can you have boxing I mean, extreme physical sports and women. I mean, that sounds a bit.
What?
Excuse
Women
me,
are.
is childbearing easy?
Have you given birth, Dr. Nadeem?
Oops. Okay.
Also, women have been. Women
Now
have
you're
been
going to come from that side.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mean, what is it that women can't do, right? They can go into space, they can be astronauts, they can be athletes, they can
They
in
climb
fact, now,
mountains.
they can climb mountains.
Women
in
have
fact,
been doing
now
everything.
they're even going to combat, right? In a way, the last kind of cultural frontier was putting women in harm's way in terms of combat. Now, all
What
that is
bothers me
happening.
here is that when women do these things like climbing a mountain or fighting in a combat or doing something that they don't usually do, why is it labeled as, oh my God, a woman can do it?
Right.
How it's the 21st
It's-
century and we still have this mentality
Because
that
there's a hangover, right?
Yeah.
It's not till the 1950s, even the US, right? Women didn't come out of the house. They stayed in the kitchen. It's only during the Second World War that women came out of the kitchen, right? And actually went out to drive trucks,
But the US
work
is
in
still
factories.
not electing a woman president.
They're still not electing.
They're
a
still
woman
not
president.
electing a woman.
They're still
They're
debating.
still not
We
They're
did a
still
woman
debating.
prime minister, but they are not electing a woman president, right? So, okay, I'll give in grudgingly.
But she also, like, as FSJ just talked about the patriarchal structure. So when I was also reading this article, plus, you know, with these movements for feminism and everything, why is the term patriarchy associated with something so negative and ugly that every time you hear this word patriarchy, you're like, ew, just, this should not be a part of our society. What do you have to say about that?
It's about how you perceive things. It's how those things manifest themselves. So patriarchal cultures are exploitive cultures, right? They're designed for hegemony of one gender over the other. And there should not be that kind of hegemony. There should be equality, not just in terms of opportunity, but also in terms of thought processes. Also in terms of accepting the fact, right, that there is very little that women cannot do, right? And that comes from deep-rooted prejudices and deep-rooted bigotry in a way, because you've always wanted to keep control.
Who wants to keep the control? Because if we go,
The patriarch of the family,
yeah,
right? So the patriarch of the family, I look at it from a different perspective, right? When we train or we work with female entrepreneurs, so they have more challenges than the male entrepreneur does. And why should there be more challenges?
only in Pakistan or you would
Most of
say?
the world,
Yeah.
not just in Pakistan. If you look at top corporations of the world, you do not find enough women, right, in the boardrooms. Recently, there was a tweet from Bala Afshar, who's one of the people, one of the senior people with Salesforce. And he says, it's still going to take 113 years, 113 years before
from this
women reach that level of parity and equality, right, in our corporations.
We have a long way to go, still a long way to go.
But let's face it, seriously, women, there's been a lot of progress, socially speaking. I mean, a few years ago when you were young, for example, women were widely discriminated against. There was no women in the boardroom, there was no women in any serious corporate position, there were no women prime ministers. I think Maggie Thatcher was the first woman prime minister in the UK.
West.
Yeah.
And then Pandra Naike was, or Indira Gandhi was probably the first prime minister.
Golda Meir in the 60s.
Golda Meir in the 60s, yeah. But now boardrooms everywhere, women are increasing. And yes, I take back what I said earlier. There is a role
Do
for
you now?
feminism. There is a role for feminism. I have to correct myself. But the key issue is, can we go too far in terms of feminism? Should we skew things
What do you mean going too far
in
in feminism? I don't think you're correcting yourself. You're digging yourself
digging
a deeper
yourself
hole.
deeper in? Okay. No, I think. Don't you think we are going too far? Don't you think we should be kind of?
That is I think that is a natural process, that when you correct something, you will overcorrect also.
Will
right?
you be
At
happy
times.
with a completely woman cabinet?
Not necessarily, because I think diversity is an
Both
important.
So I
of
find
you
I find a
are-
little chink in his armor, right?
How?
So you
He's going down and he's
I'm not
taking
talking
you
about
down
an
with him.
Amazonian
Don't you realize what
society,
he's doing?
Right? I'm not talking about an Amazonian society. I'm talking about a society that has balance. I'm talking about a society that has yin and yang.
and Fizza, so where do you draw the line in terms of feminism?
Well, for me, feminism is something that is very special to me. And I would say that women have been deprived of not just like right to work or anything, just basic human rights. They are not considered a part of humanity in a lot of places, in a lot of cultures, they're just considered as something people own, or it's like cattle that you can just give away or sell or whatever, or it's just like a piece of meat that Allah has given you that you can use to procreate. It's a factory to procreate, right? So women are not given their basic human rights. And if we go back to like 1600 years ago, the baby girls were buried alive. Why? Because they were not human enough, or because they were not a man, they were not a part of the society. So for me, when this movement of feminism, call it politically structured or just a social movement, it is putting the perspective of women in mainstream media and mainstream thought process that, hey, we are also humans, we also have rights, and we would love to have our rights, because when a man has a counterpart in a woman, an equal counterpart in a woman, I think even the man is living a happier life, right?
Sure. That I agree, yeah.
Sure.
So, okay, fine. We'll give in. Okay, fine.
You'll
You
give
can
in.
will
have
give
your
in.
feminism, you can have your own
What do you mean
feminism.
you're giving into feminism? You should just support feminism.
Okay, support feminism,
Yeah.
right? Support feminism.
Support
Okay.
equality,
Yeah.
support equal opportunity, support equal voice. Yes, without a doubt.
But here's another thing that I was thinking about. You guys, please tell me how you feel about it. I may be wrong, of course. That when a story about an abused woman is displayed, on mainstream media, like just exploded out of proportion, do you think it's putting women in a box of the weaker sex, that we are victims indeed, and we have no way to protect ourselves? We are not independent enough to protect ourselves, so we need to be exploited in a way
I
that
think,
we need help.
One of the factors we must consider is human beings are by nature voyeuristic, right?
Yes.
So we like to see things that are happening to other people. Unfortunately, because of the incidents of misogyny, misunderstood, let's say, roles, so we do have this factor where women face more abuse, face more discrimination, face more harassment in the workspace, in public spaces, and even in our homes. So there is that unfortunate element of it. And there is a conspiracy of silence also.
Yes.
There is a conspiracy of collusion also. There is what we call the bro culture also. So it's not going to happen overnight, but there is realization, an increasing realization, that there needs to be a smoothing of the path. Right?
I
So
think
you
we
have
have
to
very
do things.
far in the last few decades. Things have changed dramatically. As
Yes,
you said,
they
women
have.
boxing has started, women wrestling and all kinds of things have started. I think there's a lot of change that has happened in the world, and it is happening. But as Faisal said, and I don't know, but I'm agreeing with him too much, which is sad, that there is an issue in terms of how we structure society. Part of it is obviously relating to feminism or women as well. But the way we structure society, we got too used to society being power-driven. And there is a
Yes.
bunch of
That's a
people,
good point.
even women, I see Maggie Thatcher was power-driven, for example, that we want power. And through the power relationship, we want to get kind of economic benefit. Everybody wants protocol, and everybody wants some people to run after them, etc. And that kind of thing, that requires a very deeper discussion on democracy and how we can achieve a democracy. We talk democracy, but democracy is really about getting power. But we need to move democracy along to have everybody have an opportunity, and not people ruling another bunch of people. So it's a deeper discussion,
So,
and
yeah.
we shall continue to have it at some point.
We have to, like,
but
deep-
right now, we'll declare this round to you. Victory to feminism.
Oh, did I actually?
Victory to feminism.
Victory to
Yeah.
Dr. Nadeem al-Haq. Okay, so before you dig yourself a way deeper pit, let's take a small break and come back. Welcome back to the coffee table. I am Fizza Jamal, and I'm joined by FSJ, whose full name is a mystery, and Dr. Nadeem al-Haq. So we just discussed about feminism, and we saw Dr. Nadeem al-Haq get into deeper trouble, and FSJ
No, but I
smartly-
conceded, so I'm now converted.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
now
what
feminist.
you'll say now. And FSJ just smartly navigated his way out of the troubled waters, right? FSJ?
He was just being politically correct. Please.
Diplomacy takes you a long way. You should learn something from him now. I think
Yeah,
instead
that's
of
true.
just thinking
That's been
of
my short-
arguing,
That's been my short street.
yeah, you should
okay.
just take some good qualities
Yeah.
from him.
I'll catch up with the good guy. Don't worry.
Okay, so The next thing, like I wanted to discuss, like again, I was reading an article. I may sound like a very boring person that I'm always reading articles. I think that has become my life now.
Article from where? This is a
But-
newspaper?
Yeah, the e-newspapers and the blogs that people
Okay.
write. So I really like to follow such
Okay,
things
okay.
because I like to know about things that I cannot see with my own two eyes.
Okay.
So there are a lot of things you can find on the internet, some harsh realities of Pakistan and of the world in general. So one thing that really caught my attention is urbanization in Pakistan. It's like more and more number of people are leaving their villages, leaving their small towns because they seek better opportunities and a better lifestyle. So it's this whole process is called urbanization.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we were talking about the statistics, how there's a deficiency of transparency,
Fair
but still, if we talk about that research, there was a research posted recently, I think just last week, we discussed it too, that by 2022, right, by 2022, Lahore's population is expected to increase by 15%. So I think that is a big issue because in Pakistan we don't have enough resources to settle in so many people in one place.
Urbanization is as inevitable as evolution is, because societies have always urbanized. So it's a question of understanding, what exactly does urbanization mean? Is it that the villages are disappearing totally, or is it that the villages are changing also? His argument with me is always Lahore is not a city, it's a village.
Then what is Lahore?
Lahore is a pind.
He
That's
insists
village.
that it's a village, it's not a city. And he goes by a definition of what a city really is. Right? And to him, city is about densities of population, cities is about vertical growth, cities is not about linear expansion, horizontal expansion, cities is about not gated communities but more involved communities. Am I?
No, even more.
Yeah, even more. He will always have this even more.
Cities are all about. Look, let me ask you a simple question.
Yeah.
When you go to London
Yeah.
or Venice or Rome or Paris,
I haven't been, so I don't know what you're
okay,
talking about.
You have been to the big cities.
Yes,
you were
I
in
have
Beijing.
been. Beijing,
What did you
Shanghai.
like in Beijing?
and I went to Seoul as well.
Right?
I've been
So
to South Korea.
Seoul, Beijing, beautiful cities,
Yes.
right? So, but there's a big problem in Seoul. I don't see DHA in Seoul. Is there a DHA in Seoul?
They
There
call
are
it
no
the
DHAs.
suburbs.
There's no
of-
DHS,
there is no
right?
DHS.
And tell me another thing.
There are no barrier towns.
There are no barrier towns.
There are no
There are no
lake
gated
cities,
communities.
There are no gated
right?
communities.
And you don't have big lawns in which you and I can sit and
No
chat
lawns,
like
you
this.
have parks.
No lawn, no, but parks public. I want my private lawn, right?
No, nobody has private lawns.
And I want my big 7,000 bedroom house, right?
But what is it that you want?
I want countryside.
You live in a big
I
house
want
yourself.
countryside in the city. That is the dream of every Pakistani.
But you already called Lahore a countryside. You want another countryside in this countryside?
This is what I'm calling Lahore a village for. Average Lahore's dream is to have a big house, and interesting enough, whatever big house we have, we only use 2 rooms, because you can only air condition 2 rooms or heat 2 rooms. Like right now, I can only heat 2 rooms.
He's such
right?
an elitist,
Yeah.
right? He'll talk about air conditioning, he'll talk
Yeah.
about heating.
Yeah.
What about the fan? What about the guy who can't afford an air conditioner, who can't even afford a cooler?
I think today's discussion is when he finds himself in deeper trouble than ever.
He's
listen-
always in trouble.
But listen, hang on. I'm saying what I'm saying is you guys have to follow me for a minute.
Yes, yes. Let's give
The
him
point is let's not
the
talk
area to
about
discuss.
the dispossessed.
All right.
90% of the Lahore is for the rich people,
Yes.
right? For example,
It's designed that way, you're trying to say.
no,
right?
not
But-
only designed, we want it that way.
Yeah. But 57% of Lahore is Kachi Abadi, right? Informal
Where?
settlements, right? So slums.
Yeah, but slums. I mean, do you ever go there?
I do. I have. I've
You
passed
go to
through.
slums?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've
I told
He's in touch with the reality
I'm
of
curious.
Pakistan.
That's the point. You see, our cities are designed only for the rich. For example, cities offer you many things. Cities offer you public spaces, cities offer you coffee tables,
Yeah.
cities offer you places of, for example, take your book and go out and sit somewhere and read, or for example, take out your computer and go do something.
So you're
want to
saying
watch
cities are offering you more freedom?
You want to see theatre in the evening, go there. You want to have a show or movies or whatever. There are thousands of things cities offer. And cities, there is a way of measuring city livability. Now, if you told me about this topic, I would have brought that around. There is a city livability index. And Karachi comes at 127 something at the bottom of the barrel. Lahore is not even listed. What they mean by livability is the choices that the city offers you the ability for the city to not only entertain you, but for cities to offer you opportunities, for the city to enlighten you. For
Define
example, good
opportunities.
museums, for example. Define opportunity.
Opportunities for entertainment or
Opportunities for many things.
Okay, hang on. Look at Lahore, right?
Yeah, what
All
is
right,
Lahore?
we have one museum, but we have lots of art galleries.
What?
We
Where?
have art galleries all over the city now.
Are you saying art shops?
I'm talking about art galleries.
What art galleries?
Not just art shops.
What art galleries do we have?
We have. How do you?
Do you know any art galleries?
Okay, are you talking?
I'm just worried
I'm
for
not
you.
talking about a large space.
No, I mean I don't want a shop with art that is selling art.
Yeah.
I want a properly structured, choreographed, curated gallery. Like you go to the Tate Modern or you go to, the Guggenheim or whatever. I mean, somebody's put up a shop. That's not an art gallery. Art gallery is something that's curated, that educates, that edifies, nice building that you can enjoy, you can see something. These are very important things to think about. But apart from art gallery, another thing, think about the public spaces that London or something offers you. Huge amount of public space, right? You can go out and sit by the river, you can see, and then again, entertainment spaces. And I have so many other things that I can think
But don't you
of.
think
Learning
these
spaces.
public spaces are also in the villages and small towns? They have their local theatre, they have their local art, they have all these opportunities and freedom to have fun maybe
It's
there.
just a scale that is different, Fizza.
Okay.
What New York offers you, even Chicago can't offer you. What London offers you, Nottingham cannot offer you.
So
they have their own small little things, but everything gets magnified in a big city. Now, you said we have urbanization, yes, but we have no cities.
So do you think that people are moving to cities, or there's a constant process of urbanization because people are seeking for more opportunities to
Yes,
entertain
obviously. By
themselves,
definition, they are
or just
seeking
to have
more.
a better lifestyle? And if we talk about a better lifestyle, how else do you define a better life?
Well, there is the romance of the village, right? I would have loved to continue living in a village, right? But the possibilities diminish with time because with the way the world is changing, right? Can I retreat into the mountains, right? Build a little cottage and say, okay, that's the way I'm going to be. I can't, right?
You cannot really
It's not
cut your connections.
realistically possible. Right? It can be a mountain retreat that I may go to 2 weeks in a month or in a year or something. So urbanization, like I said, is an inevitable process, right? In our case, it's picking up pace. The simple reason why it's picking up pace is because the rural communities, right, do not find enough opportunity to earn, enough opportunity to progress, enough in terms of consumerism, right? All those benefits and those lifestyle determinants that we consider to be progress, right? So you have an influx into the cities.
Let's look at it another way. Fizza, if you go back, I don't know whether you guys read the literature a long time ago or not. Charles Dickens, for example, writes about all these things, people who come to London.
Which book are we talking about
Oliver
specifically?
Twist, David Copperfield,
Yes.
so many of them. More or less, most of them are about somebody, a poor guy, orphan, somebody coming to London
and
finding something for himself, right? Dick Whittington came to London, became even the Lord Mayor, a poor guy. Humanity has always moved from villages to the cities, and people have found their destiny and their transformation in the cities. And going back to what we discussed the other day, Stan Lee, everything happens in a city.
Yeah, everything happens in a city.
In a city, and Batman is guarding the city, or Iron Man is guarding a city or something, right? So city is a very important thing. Unfortunately, we in Pakistan, we still love the village. I remember when I was sitting in the cabinet, for example, every member talked about, hey, my Haveli in the village. Somehow we are obsessed with the village, and we don't want the city to grow. The poor people, of course, want to go. They have to come to the city. They can't go anywhere else. What can they do in the rural area? And then they go to areas where Faisal hangs out, the Kachi Abadis, right? But most of us don't go to the Kachi Abadis, right? So the question is, a city is not made by Kachi Abadis. Although, sorry, correct me, I'll correct myself there too.
Yeah.
Most of the culture, Faisal, would you agree with me, happens in slums?
It does.
Yes, it
Jazz
does.
and
It does, absolutely.
soul, rap, everything happens in the city.
But then why do
right?
they have to move to the city to promote themselves?
Opportunity, it's densities, you as human beings, we are social animals.
Yeah.
The larger the social group, the more we thrive.
Exactly.
So it's like that pull, that magnetism
I'll
that's
change
there.
it slightly.
Yeah.
We're not just a social animal. We're a herd animal.
We are
See,
herd animal,
just because we've got a brain, you know, our brain is in direct contradiction with our body. We think of ourselves as something superior. We forget that we are a herd animal. And we forget that not just a herd animal, we are a hive animal. We make progress when we are in a beehive. When you are living separately, the thing is, for example, this is why it doesn't work. Some people say, do a meeting on Skype. On Skype, you can't have the same energy.
Yeah.
That's why the coffee table is so important. You have the energy on the coffee table when you're fighting. But if you're sitting on Skype, you won't be able to connect. So the beehive has to work. The city is a beehive.
True.
And what we've done in Lahore, thanks to people like yourself,
Yes.
we have made sure that Lahore doesn't become a beehive. Lahore is a koti city. Lahore is a pleasure garden city.
I've gone from a bigger koti to a smaller koti. What do you want me to do?
First, he made all the women angry. Now he's making all the Lahoris angry. Why are you doing this to yourself?
Lahoris are already upset with me.
Lahoris are going to take it in their stride. Right? So we've had conversations with some of our friends who love to play golf, right? And we want them out of the city. We say, take your golf course, go outside the city. There I agree, right? But if I go into the, let's say if you go into the walled city, right? Still very, very dense.
The walled city is lovely, I agree.
Yeah, so
but come to Gulberg, where we are. Come to DHA, come to Garden Town. I mean, these places are sitting in 19th century. This is the kind of place that Oliver Twist came to. But London today is flats. So what I want to do, Faisal, is to move you to a flat. You can't live in
a very
a koti
expensive
anymore.
flat.
Huh?
A very expensive flat.
No, I've lived in flats. I've lived in flats.
Outside, not here.
In Karachi.
You've
also.
never lived in
No,
flats. You've lived in a flat in Karachi?
also.
And what
Okay,
is that like?
guys. Okay, so here's another thing that comes up. Because we're talking about urbanization in Pakistan, you're very well traveled. You're very well traveled. I'm a little bit traveled. So we have been to the big metropolitan cities of the world. So over there, like if I talk about my experience in Beijing and Shanghai, I would say that they were so densely populated. Like there was a person over a person. It was crazy over there, but somehow those cities managed to keep those people in the place. Everybody had electricity all day long, water all day long, gas all day long. They had food to eat all day long.
Actually, if you bring the city closer together, you'll be able to deliver all that. But when you spread it out, the delivery becomes that much more difficult.
Well, Beijing and Shanghai are huge
No,
cities that you
huge,
know
but they're
yet.
dense.
Do you know what they've done in Lahore? Let me tell you. I'm just
Yes.
coming from this meeting.
So yeah, the question here is that do you think urbanization is successfully possible in Pakistan, where everybody gets what they are seeking?
As Faisal said, there's no choice. Urbanization is not a choice. And if you look at another way, history is a history of urban centers. There's no history of rural areas.
Yeah, there is none.
Rome conquered the world. We also, when we conquered the world, was Baghdad and
So city,
whatever.
Constantinople, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everything is cities. The tragedy here is
Even the
that-
Mongols went from pastoral nomads to building cities.
Exactly. So city is where history is. But what we've done in Lahore is absolutely amazing. Lahore, they say now, we don't know what the boundary of Lahore is.
Yeah.
They
We don't,
say
that's
now that Lahore is a city, the whole division is a city. Do you know what the size of the division is? It's 11,000 square kilometers.
Oh wow.
Let me tell you what the size of Greater London is, not London City. Greater London is 1,500 square kilometers. We are talking about 11,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
Right? New York is only 784 something like that kilometers. Right? Chicago is 600 square kilometers. I looked up all these cities. And I was talking to these guys today. I said, 11,000 square kilometers. Are you serious? That is.
It's not one city then.
No, it's a joke. Because see, you can't stretch your water, sanitation. She's talking. You can't
you
stretch
can't.
it 11,000 miles.
And the governance of the city also
can't
becomes
do it.
complicated.
The cost
So
of it is
the point
prohibitive.
is the way we govern our cities, we are destroying them.
Same
That's
thing
my
is
point.
happening with Karachi.
Yeah.
Right?
Just do spread out.
The new DHA city, the barrier town, all those things. And you already have, you then have conflict, you have friction, you have resource kind of being exploited. Right? So the water
But the
project,
most important thing is we are not offering our people a simple thing called social capital or social life. You mentioned social.
Yeah, yeah.
Where is there social life in Lahore?
it isn't. Right?
well, we
No,
go out
it is.
to eat
Sorry.
a lot.
It is. Sorry. It
only
is.
in the clubs.
And where he is a member, I'm not. And in these elite clubs, you know,
It's
these
something
elite
that
clubs,
rich people do.
Rich
You and
people
I
do.
cannot do those things.
we don't have. For example, tell me one thing. What I say often. Let me tell you. What is Lahore? Lahore is the city of Iqbal. Would you
Lahore is Sadiq Halwa Puri.
agree? Yeah. But also city of Iqbal. Also city of Faz.
City
Faz
of
Mela is
Faz.
taking place today.
Yeah, today. it
And
is.
we always very proudly say that my city, Lahore, is the cultural capital of not
Of
just
the-
Pakistan,
yeah.
of the subcontinent.
Yes.
Would you agree with me?
I agree with
And
you.
we also say that Jane Lahore nahi dekhyo jame hi nahi.
वो जमी आएंगे, हाँ,
Right?
yes,
Correct? So
I have.
he who has not seen Lahore has not been born.
Yes.
These are all tall claims. But let me describe to you my Lahore today, right? Or our Lahore today. Our Lahore today has 8 golf courses.
8?
8.
18 hole.
8 18-hole golf courses.
Okay.
Each is about 200 acres, right?
Yeah, that's true.
It has got 8 polo grounds.
Like full-fledged functioning
Full-fledged polo ground.
grounds.
Each polo ground is 10 acres. Okay? Now let me ask you, how many libraries does Lahore have? Public libraries. Don't hand me. Sometimes they say, no, the libraries.
you're right.
Public libraries, how many?
One that claims to be a public
Yeah,
library.
exactly. That's
Just
a
one.
operative point.
Yeah.
Another one that the Brits left us, which
Yeah.
is the Punjab.
Yeah.
That's 2 libraries. But we don't have any public libraries in Lahore.
We don't.
This shows you our priorities.
Yeah.
And a city without a public library is not
We
a
don't
city.
have a single public library,
We
you're
do
saying.
have-
We have these 2, Punjab Public Library and the Jinnah Library.
Yeah.
Those
So
2.
are they well maintained or?
As you said, please.
Even access to them is difficult, right? He can tell you a
Yeah.
very interesting story
Yeah.
that he was being denied access. And say,
Yeah.
well,
Why, you didn't
why
look
don't
smart
come?
enough or what?
I went in my shalwar kameez. My daughter was studying
That's
at UPenn, and they stopped me and they said, "Hey, where are you going?" I said, "To see the library." He said, "Do you have an MSc?" I said, "No." So he said, "Well, do you have membership?" I said, "No." So then he looked at my daughter and he says, "Where is this girl going?" So I said, "You know, she's also going to see the library." So he said, "Well, she hasn't got an MSc." So I said, "No, fine." So we were thrown out.
So it's
And-
not really a public library,
Yeah.
it's an exclusive entrance library.
Now my next question: where are the playgrounds in Lahore?
Very few.
I haven't seen many.
Very few. And
Only in
disappearing.
gated communities,
Very
as
few
you
and
as you would say.
disappearing.
Right? So, but you tell me, am I wrong in saying a city without libraries and playgrounds and community
It's not really,
center?
cannot be really defined
Friendly
as a city.
and knowledgeable
I
public
have to concede
spaces.
here.
Right?
spaces.
And what do the poor kids do? You know, our kids can go, where do the poor kids go?
Where do
They
they,
play
go?
on the street.
They
That's
play on the
why,
street.
FSJ
And for
must
an
have witnessed
education,
it.
for an education, where do they go?
They don't go anywhere.
There's one community center that we shall not mention that is in abundance in Lahore. And that community center trains them very well. You
Yeah.
can guess.
The madrasa.
No.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
So that gives
It's
you,
economic orphanage.
yeah, that gives you a kind of a viewpoint on Lahore.
That's like another discussion that we will get to.
Of course.
So let's take a short break.
Okay.
So, but still, like just to sum it up in one word, is urbanization a successful venture in Pakistan?
Urbanization needs to be successful.
Needs to be
right?
successful.
Because it's
It's a failed
inevitable.
venture.
It's a failed venture. Wow, you're
Thanks
harsh.
to
I like your diplomacy, FSJ.
No, it's not diplomacy. That's a viewpoint.
That's a viewpoint. Okay, so let's take a break, and then after the break, we'll talk about your favorite topic, IMF.
That's my favorite. No, I
So-
don't like it at all.
Because
Not my
you look-
favorite topic,
you
it's
look
something I
like-
know about. I
you
don't
look
like
like
it.
the guy who would be interested in this. So I'm
I
going to
like
say
it, but
you
I
are.
don't. No, please.
The economic hitman.
As my friend said, the rare gem of Pakistan's treasury.
Great,
So
great.
much importance to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's take a short break and come back after it. Welcome back to Coffee Table, where I'm sitting with FSJ and Dr. Nadeem ul Haq. As I said before going on the break, that after the break we'll talk about your favorite topic. I want to say it's your favorite topic.
Thank
Let
you.
me say
Thank
it,
you.
please.
Thank you. Thank you.
IMF.
Yeah.
So recently, there's been a lot of talks going about what the IMF loan is and why Pakistan needs it, why Pakistan should take it, should not take it, and why Prime Minister is going to different countries to avoid taking IMF loan. So, to a layman, Dr. Nadeem ul Haq, how would you explain IMF? What is this, and why is this loan important to any country?
It's very simple. Fizza, I don't wish you to go to an emergency ward, but if you do something wrong, like fall down or like something happens to you, I will take you to the emergency ward. Nobody wants to go to the emergency ward. The IMF is the emergency ward of the international world. It was created 70 years ago by Lord Keynes, the famous economist, because he realized that Germany went to war because Germany had gone into an economic tailspin, to go into a deep recession with hyperinflation. So Germany came out with Hitler and plagued the world. So he said, from now onwards, we must make sure that there are no countries that go into a tailspin, because that's very dangerous for the international order. So he created the IMF, but the whole world signed on to it. So now every country, barring I think one or two, everybody is a member of the IMF. It's a global club. We are a member. It's not funded by anybody. Different people have contributions to it, and yes,
It's
those
not a question of
contributions.
funding. I mean, let me interject here. The intention may have been a good intention, just like the United Nations.
Yeah.
There were good intentions behind the United Nations. But has the United Nations really led to less conflict, less exploitation, less imperialism? It hasn't. Similarly, with the IMF, the reason that I would argue and saying we shouldn't go rushing to the IMF, we should exhaust every other avenue first, because the conditionalities that IMF imposes is never going to benefit the common person.
What are the conditions?
He's been reading the Diary of the Economic Hitman,
Yeah.
a book that you should read as well,
Okay.
which is very important.
And
The
the
book
name is?
says, it's called The Diary of an Economic Hitman,
Okay.
by a guy called John Perkins.
Yeah.
And he talks about all this stuff, and partially I agree with him. But I think he's exaggerating. Faisal is going too far. The point is very simple. Faisal,
How am I going too
when
far?
you go to the emergency room,
Yes.
you will get
I
conditional.
never go to the emergency room because I want to go there.
No.
I've been put in the emergency room because somebody most likely has come and hit me.
Fair
from,
enough.
so
But
that
now
is-
that you are there, you're
Yeah.
going to get shots. You're going to get stitches.
Yeah.
You're going to be in pain for a
Yes.
period of days.
Yes.
That's the IMF conditionality.
All right. Now, pain,
IMF will put us in pain for a few days, but that pain
who are
is
they going to
necessary.
put, no, who are they going to put into pain?
Okay, that's our choice. I'll tell you how.
All right. So that is my question.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
how.
That is my
The
question.
IMF
I cannot argue and say, oh, we need to go through the pain, right? But the
Agreed.
elite are not
But
going to
let
go
me
through the
explain
pain.
to you, and you can pick on that,
Yeah.
right? Let's say you are the Pakistan finance minister, I'm the IMF guy.
Right.
So I'll come here and I'll say, finance minister, you don't have the money to pay your creditors.
Right.
You need $12 billion this year to pay your creditors.
Right.
You don't export enough.
Yeah.
Right. You are importing too much.
Export.
Or-
I don't export enough because the tariff structures that I run up against do not allow me to export.
But that's no, sorry. Tariff structures. You mean other countries or
Yes,
yourself?
I'm talking about
that's
other countries.
fiction.
No, it isn't.
Every country.
Let's talk about China. Let's
Yeah.
talk about
Let's
our
talk about
good
Yeah,
friend
yeah,
China.
yeah.
Home country.
China does not offer us the same tariff that it offers to Bangladesh.
Listen, it doesn't matter what they offer to Bangladesh, but you have the opportunity to go there,
No,
like
it-
everybody else.
it matters
Now
to
the
me.
point is, like you said about your parents stopping you from questioning, right? You are saying that you must be treated the same as every other kid in the block. Nobody gets treated the same, right? You agree with me?
I agree
We
with
all get treated differently. So Bangladesh has its own
That's
tariffs.
exactly my
We've got our
point.
own tariffs.
That-
Now, are you telling me we can't export anywhere in the world?
No, I'm not saying we can't export
Right.
anywhere
We
in the
can't even
world.
export to
But
Africa.
We are dealing with, let's say, a neighborhood, right? Let's look at our exports.
Yeah.
Right? What are our exports? Right? One is cotton, right? That's always been, and derivatives of cotton, which is textiles, right? So here is one company, a Pakistani company, that actually exports 4% of total world requirement of socks, called Interloop. They're actually now going to the market. We may need 1,000 of them.
Yeah.
I'm talking about what is there today,
Yeah.
right? So what is it that we export? We export manpower.
Agreed. So what the IMF is going to tell you is, guys, increase your exports.
Yes.
Work harder. Don't work 10 to
But
2
to
as we
increase
discussed
my
earlier.
exports, I
But
first
okay, I'm
need to
going to
import.
cut you off right here. My question still stands. What are the conditions that IMF is imposing on Pakistan? Why are we
I'm trying to
scared
tell the finance minister if he will listen. I'm just trying to tell the finance minister.
So please tell
that
us in layman
finance
All right,
terms.
I'll
minister-
listen to the hitman.
The finance minister must understand that he cannot pay his debts. And anybody who can't pay his debts is an international derelict. Right?
Okay.
Agreed?
Yes.
You know what a derelict is? Derelict is a
Please
guy who
explain.
can't look after himself, who's
Yeah.
kind of not responsible, etc. Right? So that's where we are right now.
So
Secondly,
Pakistan is a derelict in this situation.
not just once. Pakistan has
Multiple
been to the
times.
emergency ward
Yeah.
15 times. And the
Is it
last
15 or
30.
25?
No. I mean, it depends
Let's
where
say
you count.
15 to 25.
And
Everybody wins.
of the last 40 years, we spent over 30 years in the emergency ward.
Right.
So we are also not only derelict, we are addicted to IMF.
Yes.
Right? Issues are the same that we faced before. One is that, look, we have to import less. That means no Porsches for you.
Sure.
No expensive
forget about
cars for
Porsche,
you.
no cheese.
No cheese, right? As
no
one of our
Langnese
councillors-
honey,
No,
no,
no fancy jackets. So we have to trim down our exports. Imports, sorry.
No
we
cosmetics,
have
by
to
the way.
increase exports, right? But then more importantly, we've got a huge fiscal deficit. Our fiscal deficit is about 9 to 10 percent of GDP, right? We have a huge circular debt. You know what a circular debt is, Fizza?
Please
Circular
explain.
debt is the losses that we are making on the energy sector. We have made 4 trillion rupees worth of losses in the last 11 years. That's more than your education budget. We are losing 1.2 trillion in energy losses this year. That's irresponsible. It's so irresponsible, Minister, that somebody should hold you responsible, right?
Sure.
The problem is if you don't fix your own house, where you're losing money like mad, your energy sector is losing money, your gas sector is losing money, your wheat sector is losing money, all your public enterprise is losing money. IMF will only say
How
to
is
you,
borrowing money going to fix that?
no, you're not borrowing money. Sorry,
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say when you go to Saudi Arabia and China and you're borrowing money and you think you're going to avoid the IMF program, what you're doing is you're hemorrhaging, you're losing blood, but you're going to your neighbors and saying, hey, give me a little bit of a Band-Aid, give me a little bit of, Panadol, or give me an injection. I will continue to hemorrhage, but I will make do with Panadol or Band-Aid. IMF is not going to give you any money. IMF is only going to give you enough money to patch you over.
Yeah, but under what conditions?
Yeah.
The conditions,
what
I'll tell you the
conditions?
conditions. They'll say, Minister, please do not lose any more money in energy. Minister, please make sure your fiscal deficit comes down to manageable numbers, over a period of time. You can't do it immediately, but over a period of time, bring your fiscal deficit down to, let's say, 4% of GDP. GDP is what you earn. You can't lose more than 4%. Your debt is too high, Minister. Reduce your debt. Your debt is now 75% of GDP. You had a law, Minister. We passed a law saying that our debt will never cross 60%.
60%.
And we are over 75. So, Minister, bring your debt
60%
down.
of what exactly?
GDP.
60% GDP.
Right? So they said, so they'll say, Minister, bring your. Now, what they'll say also is, and this is your choice, that's why I said it's your choice. They'll say, Minister, please protect the poor, don't hurt the poor, right? So you have to make choices. They'll say, Minister, you can tax your rich, but not the poor. Minister, provide them with BISP money so that they can make their ends meet. And they'll also say, Minister, when you do all this, like in the emergency ward, when we patch you up, when we put bandage on you, when you put all those things on you, you're going to hurt. We're going to give you painkillers, right? But try and get over this fast. So they'll say, walk around, get some exercise, get your blood circulation going so that you can recover faster, right? So what we need to do is, yes, we will have pain, we will have a recession, we will have an unemployment, not a lot, but a little bit. But if we take some other action, as I said, exercise, do something, we can have a lesser of a recession. And if we fix our problems, like getting rid of all these hemorrhages, we can start running, we can start growing. I think the IMF
What
medicine
I'm
is not bad
understanding
at
from
all.
all of this is that Pakistan as a nation, let's say, is not used to or is not capable of taking care of its own self. Like we need a helping hand from let's say a foreign body to get back on our 2 feet. What if we don't take the loan? What if, let's say, we don't borrow money from our friendly nations? Do you think Pakistan still has a chance to to stop from hemorrhaging?
We need to stop the hemorrhage in any case, right? That needs to happen. So we need to take care of the circular debt. We need to make sure that our energy losses are reduced. There is no theft. We need to make sure that our energy mix improves. So the cost of producing energy also comes down. We cannot reduce the price of electricity unless we change the energy mix. We need to make sure that our grid becomes far more intelligent and we know how much we're producing, where it's going. So it's not just about producing electricity, it is about being able to distribute it also effectively in the optimum manner at the lowest price. So all these things need to happen. But why do we need to have somebody else come and tell us that this is what you need to do? We already know what you need to do.
Exactly.
Why do I need to know of what has to happen for me to get out of this hole that we've dug for
Is it
ourselves?
like the slave mentality all over again, that we need to have an owner over us to tell us what to do,
The
to help
economic
us out?
hitman won't agree, and he says, no, you need to be in the image. He's drawn some beautiful parallels, right, with anatomy and saying, okay, you can exercise and you can do this and you can do that. At the same time, you're feeding me a painkiller, you're first creating pain, then you want to give me to take painkillers. Why do I need to do that?
Because you got yourself into trouble, you broke your leg, you got hurt, you did something stupid, you got hurt. Or for example, because you get too fat, you have a heart attack or something. The point is, stay out of the emergency ward. Yes, IMF will tell you, stay out of the emergency ward, don't come to us, please don't come to us. But when you get into a trouble that you got a $12 billion hole, you're hemorrhaging badly, then there's no choice. You have to go to the IMF. That's all I'm saying. I tell
All
you,
right.
if you ask the IMF, they'll also say, don't come to us. Please
Okay,
don't.
let's
Fix
accept the
your
fact
term.
that you are going to the IMF.
Yeah.
You need that stamp of approval because you are part of a committee of nations, right? There is a world order in terms of economics also.
Yeah.
So you need to be part of that. You need that stamp of approval. What next, right?
I think what next is exactly what you said, Minister. Take charge of your own policy, take charge of your own country.
So how come we haven't taken charge of our policy yet? It's 2018 already.
Didn't I tell you the last program? We don't think, we have no ideas.
Yeah, we don't think long term.
No, we don't think at all, sorry.
Okay, we don't think at all.
I take objection. Let's be very clear, we don't think, like we just discussed in the earlier segment. If you are making an 11,000 square kilometer city, we need to have a head examined. The Battle of Waterloo
was one on the playing fields of Eton. What does that mean?
I've heard it.
What does that really mean?
No, we'll go into that another program.
No, no, I want to get into it right now.
Right now, just tell me,
Yeah.
you have no playing fields. Minister, whose fault is that? Not the IMF's fault.
It's about
It's your fault, right? So, I mean, the point is, we never accept our fault.
True.
It's our fault that we're
That
going to
is a
Hitman.
major flaw
The
in our
Hitman is
psyche.
not asking you to come there. Nobody's asking you to come and borrow. Why don't you fix your house after 35 years of fund programs? We are back to the fund. We are the country that has used the fund the most.
that is what my concern is, that we borrowed money. You use the word addiction. We become addicted to the fact. that
Addicted and derelict, both, please.
Addicted and derelict.
It's like the
Normally,
worst ways to describe.
Addicts will become derelict because you lose the faculty of
Yeah.
being productive.
Exactly.
Right. So that is going to happen as a consequence.
And that is why I'm saying, Minister, take charge of your policy.
Yes.
The economic hitman is saying, take charge of your policy. Don't come to me. I don't want you. Now, Minister, if you're not doing your job, then I'm sorry. I have to come, right? Would you agree with that, Fizza?
I do, but you know, I'm just thinking of one thing that I think both of your coffees are too bitter. You're giving a very bitter reality check. We should add more sugar so you can sugarcoat it for
I will
us.
also add something else
Yes, please.
to go back to the segment where I goofed up.
Did you now?
Minister, you must let your women work in the workforce so that you
Yes.
can have productivity. You
Of
have
course.
50% of your workforce
Yes.
is not working.
Yeah.
Now, whose fault is that? That's not the hitman's fault,
All
right?
right.
Fizza?
If you were to look at 5 things that Pakistan can do, right, to make sure that this is the last IMF program that we will ever need, right? If I go back to your book, right, you talk about an inflection point, which comes around what, 2022?
2022. Yeah.
2022.
Yeah.
So what are those 5 things, or what are those 3 things?
The
that
most
need to
important,
happen?
the most important thing that I mentioned, and I still believe it. The most important thing is we have to start thinking as a people.
Okay.
And come back.
So that's
to the,
fun.
And comes back to the coffee table.
Okay.
Comes back to the coffee table.
Yeah.
We have to have networks of change.
Okay.
2.
We have to have networks of change, right? What does that mean? For example, as you mentioned feminism, hey, we have to espouse that cause. Urbanization, we have to espouse that cause. Countries develop because they take on causes and make reform. We'll take that up next time.
All right.
Okay, so thank you for this healthy discussion, if I can say that. And we will see you again at our coffee table. This is it for today's discussion.